Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, I am going to discuss on the concept of e-way bill under GST. Concept of e-way bill is a very small concept as well as a useful concept under the GST law for efficient transportation of goods for the purpose of supply. Let us now discuss the provisions of GST Act relating to e-way bill. First, we will understand what is an e-way bill. Way bill. Way bill is nothing but it is a document evidencing the transport of goods from one place to another. Way bill is not a new concept under GST because way bill was even present before the GST law in the erstwhile VAT Act as well. So now under GST law, what is new? The new concept under GST law is nothing but they have made that way bill as an e-way bill. E-way bill is nothing but electronic way bill. So we can generate the bill electronically, and that bill evidences the transportation of goods from one place to another. So it evidences the transportation. So with that bill, whatever the goods that are being transported in the container, so that can be authorized, that is said to be authorized for the purpose of transportation. So that is what the concept of e-way bill. E-way bill under GST law, e-way bill has to be generated for every transportation of goods through a conveyance. Whether the transportation is by road, by air, by rail, whatever the mode of transportation, but for every transportation of goods from one place to another, e-way bill has to be mandatorily generated. That is what the provisions of GST law. However, the GST law has provided a threshold limit for generating e-way bill. The law says that if the value of the goods is below the threshold limit, then e-way bill generation is not mandatory. It means what? If the value of the goods that are being transported, if it is less than or equal to 50,000 rupees, then an e-way bill generation is not mandatory. However, they said that it is at the option of the supplier or a recipient. It is just an option. If at all they want to generate an e-way bill, they can generate. It is nothing prohibits from the supplier to generate an e-way bill. However, there is no mandate for generate e-way bill. So if the value of goods that are being transported, if it exceeds 50,000 rupees, then e-way bill is mandatory. The calculation of that 50,000 rupees can be under single invoice, or it can even be under multiple invoice for a single conveyance. For example, in one lorry is transporting goods from one place to another, and that lorry or truck, it is being utilized by many suppliers. For example, 5 or 6 suppliers come together and they join together to transport their goods from one place to another. Individual invoice value of each supplier is said to be, if it is less than 50,000 rupees, but if all the suppliers put together, the total value of goods that are being transported in that conveyance, if it exceeds 50,000 rupees, then also an e-way bill is required. So that the value of threshold should not be calculated in a single invoice. It should be calculated even on a multiple invoice, all the invoices put together, but for a single conveyance. For example, if the supplier is transporting goods to a recipient, to the same recipient, if the supplier is transporting goods, and that goods are transported for under 2 invoices, each invoice value is 45,000 rupees, for example, and the goods, the value of 45,000 rupees goods are transported in separate conveyance. For example, it leads to the same destination, but the value of goods in each container is only less than 50,000 rupees. The value of goods in each container is less than 50,000 rupees. Then in that case, e-way bill is required. E-way bill is not required because there are 2 conveyances with value of less than 50,000 rupees. and the goods are being transported on a different invoice, and the invoice value also does not exceed 50,000 rupees. Next scenario, the invoice value is 70,000 rupees. The value of invoice is 70,000 rupees under a single invoice, but the goods that are transported in the multiple two separate trucks. So if the goods are transported in two separate trucks under single invoice, and the value of goods in each conveyance is less than 50,000 rupees, then also an e-way bill is required, because the value of invoice exceeds 50,000 rupees. So you just understand now that the value of 50,000 rupees, the threshold limit, has to be seen either on a single invoice, or the value should not exceed on a single conveyance. So that is how the threshold limit has to be computed. So the next thing we are going to discuss is, what is the purpose of movement? For what type of movement the e-way bill generation is required? I am just taking the purpose into three here. The first type of purpose I am taking is for the supply. It is for the supply of goods. That is the first type of first purpose of transportation. Second purpose is for inward supply, or for other than supply, which I can give you an example of supply returns or sales returns. If I have made sales and the goods are being returned back to me, the sales returns are not considered as supply, but it is a different purpose of movement. The third purpose of movement is any inward supply from an unregistered dealer or an unregistered supplier. If I am receiving or purchase, I am a registered person, and I am receiving goods from an unregistered supplier. So in that case, that is a different purpose of movement. So I am just classifying the purpose of movement into three. Under the first category, under supply, regular supply, I just wanted to say that the supply can be for consideration, or even the supply need not be for a consideration. We have seen Schedule 1 under CGST Act, which says that the transactions to be considered as supply, even though there is no consideration for that. So those type of transactions also will be covered under the e-way bill generation requirement. Okay, so whether the supply is for consideration or without consideration, if there is a supply of goods, then e-way bill has to be generated. Next thing is whether the supply is for the purpose of or furtherance of business, or it is not for the purpose of business. Whether or not it is for the purpose of business, e-way bill has to be generated if there is a transport of goods. Okay, so this is what about the purpose of movement. So whatever the purpose of movement, if there is a movement of goods, then an e-way bill is required. Next is when the e-way bill has to be generated. When to generate an e-way bill. For this, I am just going to classify the movement of goods into two categories. The movement of goods, I am classifying it as intra-state movement or interstate movement. One is if the goods are transported from one state to another, that is called as interstate movement. If the goods are transported within the same state, then it is called as intrastate movement. Under interstate movement, I am just classifying it to two categories. One is the value of the movement, the value of conveyance is more than 50,000 rupees. The value of conveyance exceeds 50,000 rupees. Then if it is for other type of transportation, then e-way bill is required. See, the moment the value of conveyance crosses 50,000 rupees, an e-way bill is required. However, there is an exception to that. Under interstate movement, you will have to be very clear. This exception is applicable for an interstate movement. What is that exception? The first exception is if the goods are transported between principal and an agent, or a principal to a job worker. If the goods are transported from a principal to a job worker, even though the value of goods is less than 50,000 rupees, an e-way bill has to be generated. But this movement has to be an interstate movement, not an intrastate movement. The movement has to go from one state to another. If in that case, then even the value of goods transported is less than 50,000 rupees, then an e-way bill is required. That is first exception. Second exception is transportation of handicraft goods. Transportation of handicraft goods by a dealer who is exempted from GST. There is a separate notification from the government of India that a person who is transporting handicraft goods, if certain conditions are satisfied, then he is exempted from taking a registration. If such person is transporting goods, handicraft goods from one state to another, interstate movement, then even though the value of goods transported is less than 50,000 rupees, then also an e-way bill is to be generated. That is first leg. Second part of it is, if the transport movement of goods is in the nature of intrastate movement, within the state movement, then if the value of goods is more than 50,000 rupees, then an e-way bill is required. Okay, this is what about when the e-way bill has to be generated. See, if these conditions are satisfied, then the e-way bill has to be mandatorily generated. When it has to be generated? Before starting the movement of goods, the e-way bill has to be generated. It cannot be generated during the movement of goods. So when the particular conveyance is starting from the supplier's premises, then before that an e-way bill has to be generated, and it has to be taken along by the person who is transporting the goods. Okay, so we are now going to just summarize what we saw now. If the consignment value is more than 50,000 rupees, then an e-way bill has to be mandatorily generated. If the value is less than or equal to 50,000 rupees, then e-way bill is optional. It is not mandatory. Okay, then the value which I am referring here, the value should be excluding the taxes. You should not include the taxes for the purpose of computing the value for this purpose. Next is the consignment value is not relevant. I just told you that the threshold limit will not be applicable for interstate movement to job worker or from job worker. Okay, if the job worker is transporting goods to a principal, or if a principal is transporting goods to a job worker, then this threshold limit will not be applicable, but only for the category of interstate movement. So second is interstate movement of handicraft goods by an exempted supplier. That is what we have already discussed now. Who can generate the e-way bill? Who can generate the e-way bill? For this purpose, the persons I am going to classify into three categories. The first person is a registered person who has registered under GST Act. Second person is an unregistered person, and the third type of person is a transporter. So these three categories of person I am just taking up for here. If the goods are supplied by a registered person, if the goods are supplied by a registered person and the recipient of goods is also a registered person, the supply is between two registered persons, then an e-way bill can be generated by either supplier or recipient or even a transporter. So all the three person can generate e-way bill. Okay, the second type of second category of supply I am taking as one among the persons who are within the supply is an unregistered person. One among the person is whether the supplier can be unregistered and the recipient can be registered, or the supplier can be registered or the recipient can be unregistered. See, if either of the person is an unregistered person, then also e-way bill is required to be generated. But whom to generate the e-way bill? Any person can generate an e-way bill, because registration under e-way bill does not require to be a registered person under GST law. Whether or not you are a registered person under GST law, you can register yourself as a person, registered person under e-way bill provisions. So if an unregistered person supplies goods to a registered person, then e-way bill can be generated by any person. There is no doubt about that. But there is a requirement under GST law that the registered person has to comply with all the provisions of GST Act. So one among the provisions of GST Act is e-way bill generation. So it is mandatory for the registered person to comply with those provisions. If unregistered person does not generate an e-way bill, if he has not complied with that, it is mandatory for the registered person to comply. So any person can generate, but if it is a registered person, then he should ensure that the e-way bill is generated. Clear? Third type of person is a transporter. Even a transporter can generate an e-way bill, whether or not the transporter is a registered person under GST law. If a transporter is not a registered person under GST law, he has to mandatorily register under e-way bill provisions, e-way bill portal. He has to mandatorily register himself. There will be a transporter ID provided. If you are a registered person under GST law, your GSTN will also act as will be a reference number for the e-way bill purpose as well. But if a transporter has to separately get registered as a transporter under e-way bill portal, so a transporter ID will be generated whether or not the transporter is a registered person under GST law. Clear or not? A transporter can generate an e-way bill. Yes, he can generate an e-way bill in any scenario. So the summary of this is, any person which I have discussed now can generate an e-way bill. Okay, so it is not provided in anywhere in the act that only this person can generate an e-way bill. Now what we are going to discuss is contents of e-way bill. What is provided in e-way bill? E-way bill can be divided into two parts. One is part A, second one is part B. Part A will provide you the information about the goods that are being transported and the value of goods and the amount of tax that is paid on those goods. These to simply say, the invoice details of goods will be provided in the part A of the e-way bill. Then part B of the e-way bill is for the purpose for providing you the details of the conveyance, that is the details of the transporter as well as details of the vehicle. So these two details will be provided in part B of the e-way bill. So it is divided into two parts. If there is one circular which says that if a supplier is transporting goods from one place to another, and the transport happens, the goods he is not transporting himself, he is handing over the goods to a common transporter. There is a common transporter who generally transports goods from one place to another, and the person handing over the goods to a transporter, I can call it like a parcel service. Okay, what happens in this case? The supplier can generate part A of the e-way bill and provide the part A to the transporter, because the supplier will not know about the details of the transporter as well as the details of the vehicle, because you will have to provide the truck number itself under the part B of the e-way bill. So if the supplier does not know about the details of the vehicle, then he can simply generate part A of the e-way bill and hand over the goods to the parcel agent. What happens? The parcel agent can receive the goods and he can generate part B of the e-way bill on behalf of the supplier. For generating this part B, if the transporter is transporting goods from a multiple supplier, then he can generate single part B of e-way bill for entire referring all the part A. So he has to refer the part A of the e-way bill for each consignment. Okay, if he is transporting multiple consignment in a single conveyance, then he can generate single part B specifying the details of all the consignments in the single part B. That is what provided in the circular. Next we are going to discuss on the relevant rules for this e-way bill. The rules under CGST rules, rule number 138A. What does 138A says? What are all the documents that should be carried by the transporter? I can refer the person as transporter in charge or person in charge. Person in charge is a person who travels along with the goods in the conveyance. If a person who is traveling in the truck which carries the goods, that person I am calling it as person in charge. That person has to carry the following documents. One is, he has to carry, mandatorily he has to carry the invoice or bill or any other documents for the goods that are being transported. If it is a single conveyance or if it is a single consignment or a multiple consignment, if it whether or not he should carry all the relevant invoices as well as bills. Okay, and what happens is there is one provision under GST portal. He can upload the invoices into the GST portal, and he can generate an invoice reference number for each invoice. See, this generating this invoice reference number will help the person, the officer who inspects the goods which are being transported. That officer can easily refer to the invoice reference number so that he can get the details automatically in his system. So for this purpose, the transport in charge, the person in charge, can upload the invoices of the consignment which he is carrying into the common portal, and he can generate an invoice reference number. If an invoice reference number is generated before generating an e-way bill, then when the transporter tries to generate the e-way bill, that time the part A of the e-way bill will be automatically filled from the invoice reference number. If he provides the invoice reference number, the details in the part A will get automatically filled. That is one benefit if the person is generating an invoice reference number. That is first. Second one is he can carry a hard copy of an e-way bill or a soft copy of an e-way bill. The soft copy of an e-way bill can be carried if the soft copy is embedded to an RFID. I will just tell you what is embedded to an RFID. See, it is plain that he can carry a hard copy of a printout copy of an e-way bill. Second is there is a provision for under the e-way bill portal that he can just download the data of the e-way bill to an RFID device. RFID device is nothing but it is a radio frequency identification device. So that is what RFID device. It is a simple device which can be carried along through the conveyance, and when an officer, police or an officer stops the vehicle during the movement, he can easily refer to the e-way bill as well as the relevant documents. He need not carry a physical document of it. He can refer to the documents of the conveyance by just accessing to that RFID device. RFID device is easily accessible by the officer. So that is second methodology. And third methodology, the rule also provides that the commissioner may by a notification or by an order require certain class of transporters. He can issue an order for requiring certain class of transporters to mandatorily embed RFID device into their vehicle. Okay, see, embedding an RFID device is optional, but if a commissioner has ordered a certain class of transporters to embed RFID device in the vehicle mandatorily, then they will have to follow that. That is what an empowerment provided under Rule 138A to certain commissioners. Next is we are going to discuss on notification number 39/2018. This notification was issued on 4th of September 2018. This notification says the transporter in charge or the person in charge should carry a bill of entry, okay, when the imported goods are transported. If he is transporting an imported goods, then he should mandatorily carry bill of entry, and the bill of entry details, the date and the reference number of bill of entry has to be mentioned on the e-way bill. This is what provided by the notification number 39/2018. Next we are going to discuss on bill to ship to transactions. I will just give you a brief of what is bill to ship to transactions. See, under GST law, there are two persons. There is one supplier and one recipient. There can be a third person to whom the goods can be transported. The goods need not necessarily be transported to the recipient of supply. The goods can even be transported to a third person who on the request of the recipient of supply. For example, one supplier is transporting goods. A recipient of supply can request the supplier to transport the goods to some other person on behalf of the recipient. So in that case, that is called as bill to ship to transaction, because in this type of scenario, the bill will be made to a recipient, the proper recipient. However, ship to will be done to a third party. if in the invoice generated by the supplier, he will mention the details, address, name and address of the recipient in bill to area, and he should also provide ship to area, in which he will provide the name and address of the person, the third party who receives goods on behalf of the recipient. That is called as bill to ship to transaction. In the case of bill to ship to transaction, a single e-way bill, generation of a single e-way bill is enough. Because even in the e-way bill, the details of bill to and ship to is provided separately. If bill to and ship to is properly provided, then here there are three parties, but generation of a single e-way bill is necessary. With that e-way bill, the goods can start from the supplier's premises and it can go to the third party's premises on behalf of the recipient. That is enough. That is what provided under bill to ship to transaction scenario. So single e-way bill is necessary, sufficient for this purpose. I will give you a small example to understand this. Supplier is from Tamil Nadu, and the recipient of supply, who provides the order, who is the recipient, for whom the supply is made, that person is called as a recipient. The recipient is from Maharashtra, supplier is from Tamil Nadu and recipient is from Maharashtra. And the recipient, while making the order, he says that the goods need not be transported to Maharashtra, that is to my premises. It can be transported to some third party who is situated at Hyderabad, that is in Telangana. Okay, so if the arrangement is in such a manner, then the bill will be generated on Maharashtra's name and the taxation also will be applied accordingly. Here the bill is generated from Tamil Nadu to Maharashtra, which is interstate supply, then an IGST has to be charged. Here incidentally the goods also is going from Tamil Nadu to Hyderabad, which is also interstate supply, but the supplier will provide the address of the recipient, Maharashtra's address in bill to area and Hyderabad's address in ship to area. That is what the supplier will do. Okay, so in this case here the charging of taxes does not depend on the third party. The taxes has to be charged between supplier and the recipient, but the goods can be transported to a third party, and the generation of single e-way bill is enough for this purpose. Okay, now we are going to discuss the cases or situations where generation of e-way bill is not necessary. First first scenario is when goods are transported in a non-motor vehicle. If the goods are transported in non-motor vehicle, I can tell you that if the goods are transported in bullock carts or in horse carts, if the goods are transported in such manner, then generation of e-way bill is not required, not necessary. If the goods are transported either through a motor vehicle, through road, or if it is transported through a vessel, or if it is transported through aircraft or rail, in these scenarios it is called as a motorized vehicle. So that case generation of e-way bill is necessary. If the goods are transported on a non-motor vehicle, then e-way bill is not necessary. Second type of situation is if the goods are transported from the customs port to ICD or IFS. ICD is inland customs depot, or IFS is inland freight station. Okay, so if the goods are transported from customs port to this ICD or IFS, why the goods will be transported? Customs port is nothing but in the harbor where the goods are unloaded, that is the area called as customs port. From there the goods can be transported to a ICD. ICD can be situated in through some distance. For example, it can be situated 30 kilometers distance also it can be situated. In those scenarios, if the goods are transported from customs port to ICD for the purpose of clearance, then generation of e-way bill is not necessary for that. The third situation is goods are transported under customs bond. For example, certain goods which are imported, it can also be warehoused. Okay, we will you can refer to the discussion on warehoused goods for warehoused import goods in our customs law topic, customs law discussion. Okay, so if the goods are transported under customs bond from customs port to a warehouse, even in that case the goods the generation of e-way bill is not necessary. Then next situation is, if there is a transit cargo from Nepal or Bhutan or to Nepal or Bhutan. For example, if the goods are transported from I can tell you Himachal Pradesh to Sikkim, the goods are transported from Himachal Pradesh to Sikkim. Incidentally, the shortest mode of transportation or the distance can be leading from it can enter into Nepal, and through Nepal and Bhutan it can reach to Sikkim. That is a one-way route for reaching Sikkim, which is a shorter route. If the transporter is transporting goods through that route, it means what the cargo is transiting through Nepal and Bhutan. In that case, generation of e-way bill is not necessary. Next is movement of defense goods. If the defense goods are moved based on the defense authorities, if they have authorized the movement of defense goods, then e-way bill is not required. Movement of empty cargo containers. If the empty containers are moved from one place to another, then also e-way bill is not necessary, because see, incidentally there is no goods moved, but the container is not you cannot take it as goods. It is just moved from one place to another for the purpose of loading certain goods in that. For that case also, e-way bill is not required to be generated. If the goods are transported for weighment purpose, okay, if the supplier's premises, if the goods are transported to some outside place for the purpose of weighing those goods, you would have seen weigh bridge or some, whenever you are crossing through some roads, you would have seen on the side of the roads there is a place called weigh bridge. In weigh bridge, the lorry will just enter to that weigh bridge, and the goods of that the total weight of the goods can be measured there. So in that case, the goods are transported from the supplier's premises to the weigh bridge for the purpose of weighment up to 20 kilometers. Generation of e-way bill is not required. If the moment it crosses 20 kilometers, then e-way bill has to be generated for that purpose as well. Next situation is, if the consignor is a central government, the goods are transported either by central government or state government or a local authority, and the mode of transportation is rail. If the goods are transported by central government or state government or local authority through railways, then e-way bill generation is not required. Next is goods exempted specifically by state or UTGST rules. If the state rules or UTGST rules has specifically exempted certain goods for the purpose of generating e-way bill, then also for that e-way bill need not be generated. Though it may not be exempted by the central law, but if a state law exempts certain goods, for that e-way bill is not required, then for that also e-way bill need not be generated. That is what provided in Central GST Act. Next is transportation of certain type of goods. I can give you an example. If the goods are exempted goods are transported, or Schedule 3 goods are transported. What is Schedule 3 goods? Schedule 3 goods are transactions which cannot be considered as supply. Okay, so those type of goods or exempted goods, if these goods are transported, then e-way bill need not be generated. Only taxable goods are transported, e-way bill generation is mandatory. Then Part B is not required for intrastate movement within 50 kilometers. For example, the supplier and recipient of goods are within the same state, and from supplier's premises to the recipient's premises, the distance between that is less than 50 kilometers. Then Part A of the e-way bill has to be generated, but generation of Part B is not mandatory. Next is we are going to discuss one notification number 26/2018. This notification was issued on 13th of June 2018. This notification says it has exempted movement of empty gas cylinders. Okay, the movement of empty gas cylinders from one place to another. For that, generation of e-way bill is not necessary, because gas cylinder is not goods, because the person is not supplying the gas cylinders. The goods can be considered as the LPG inside that. Only the gas is being supplied, gas cylinders are not being supplied. If the movement is for empty gas cylinders, then e-way bill need not be generated. Why the empty gas cylinders would be moved? It could be moved for the purpose of refilling the LPG inside that. Okay, for that purpose, if the gas cylinders are moved from one place to another, then e-way bill need not be generated. Okay, so these are all the cases where generation of e-way bill is not necessary. Next, we are going to see the validity of a e-way bill. What is the duration the e-way bill is valid? For this purpose, I am just dividing the cargo or dividing the conveyance into two. One is over-dimensional cargo, second one is a normal cargo. In case of over-dimensional cargo, if the distance the cargo is transported, if the distance exceeds 20 kilometers, then if the distance is less than 20 kilometers, then e-way bill is valid for 1 day. Okay, if it is a over-dimensional cargo and the distance it travels is less than 20 kilometers, then e-way bill is valid for 1 day. If it exceeds 20 kilometers, then for each 20 kilometer, e-way bill is valid for one day. 1 day is for each 20 kilometer. I can tell you, if the goods are transported for 60 kilometers, then e-way bill is valid for 3 days, because for every 20 kilometers 1 day validity is provided. If the distance is 60 kilometers, then e-way bill is valid for 3 days. Even it is part thereof. For example, even if it is 50 kilometers, which is more than 40, it is on the third 20 kilometers. No, then also e-way bill is valid for 3 days. Every 20 kilometers or part thereof, 1 day validity is provided. It is for over-dimensional cargo. In case of normal cargo, for every 100 kilometers, this is what I am telling. If it is less than 100 kilometers, 1 day, and if it is exceeding 100 kilometers, for every 100 kilometers or part thereof, one day will be added for the validity of e-way bill. Okay, and validity of e-way bill has to be calculated from the date and time of generation. When the e-way bill is generated, you can see that the date and time of generation of e-way bill will be mentioned in that. From there, the validity has to be calculated as we discussed now. That is one. Second point to note is the validity of e-way bill can be extended by providing proper reasons. It can also be extended. When it can be extended, it can be extended either before 4 hours or after 4 hours from the time and date of expiry. See, for example, I have generated an e-way bill. For validity of the e-way bill is 1 day. I am generated today at 10 a.m. It is valid till tomorrow 10 a.m. No, so I can any time I can extend the validity before 10 a.m. 4 hours before 10 a.m. or 4 hours after 10 a.m. of tomorrow. Clear? That is what important point to note here. Now we will discuss some other points or notifications and circulars under this before we conclude this topic. Notification number 28/2018. This notification was issued on 19th June 2018. This notification says that whenever any officer stops the vehicle, during the movement of goods, if an officer stops the vehicle, then 3 days time is available, and it can be further extended to further 3 days to prepare and submit a report of inspection. See, if the officer is inspecting during the movement of goods, any conveyance, and the officer has to submit an inspection report to the authorities. For that, the officer has 3 days time. It can be further extended to further 3 days. Totally 6 days time is available for the officers to submit an inspection report if he has inspected a vehicle during the movement. That is given under notification 28. Next we will discuss a circular number 47/21/2018. This circular was issued on 8th of June 2018. What does the circular says? If the goods shall be delivered by railways only. Okay, see, for example, this is a clarificatory circular. This circular says that if the goods are transported through railways, then the goods can be delivered to the person only after the person produces the e-way bill. See, the goods are transported from one place to another, okay, from supplier to recipient, and in order for the railway authorities to deliver the goods to the recipient has to produce the e-way bill to the railway authorities to take the delivery of those goods. That is what clarified through this circular. Next clarification is e-way bill is required if goods move through another state during the movement within the state. I will give you an example. If movement from one place to another place inside Delhi can happen that it may touch upon Haryana. For example, you are just going to one place to another within the same state, within Delhi, but the route is such a way that it touches the state of Haryana as well. If in that case, then e-way bill generation is mandatory because the goods are moved through another state, no? So in that case, generation of e-way bill is mandatory. That is what clarified here. And it also says that if the goods are transported from a DTA unit to a SEZ unit, DTA is a domestic tariff area unit and SEZ is a special economic zone unit. We already understand what is an SEZ unit. If the goods are transported from DTA to SEZ unit, then e-way bill is not mandatory provided it is exempted by the state law also. What we are discussing here is a central law. If this movement is exempted by state law also, then e-way bill is not required if the goods are transported from DTA area to SEZ area. One important point you should note here is it should be within the state. Okay, within the state, the goods are transported from DTA area to SEZ area. In that case, generation of e-way bill is not mandatory. Okay, so with this, our discussion on e-way bill is over. Okay, thank you for watching this video patiently. Okay, let us meet in a different video. Okay, thank you.